Hello there everyone, it is time for Aislinn faction overview. It's just my thoughts on how Aislinn can play out. As always in these reviews, I just went over the initial turns and got a feel for how the faction can play out. Now these are my conclusions, and in the end of the video I'll show you some army compositions as well that I would love to try out in the campaign. As always, this is not a full in-depth guide, I'll have one later on, but rather how you should approach the campaign, and it most certainly will have things that will help you out. So let's play with Aislinn, shall we? In terms of the victory conditions, for your short victory conditions you need to occupy, loot, raise or sack 30 different settlements. You also need to unlock 3 dragon ships, you start with 1, and you have to establish 3 colonies. You also have to destroy the faction of the Dreadrock Privateers and restore all of these 3 ancient elven colonies, which is basically just this province right here on the Eastern Islands. So that's kind of an easy one. It's still a lengthy one. The reward is nice. It's plus 3 hero capacity for all heroes. It's something that actually aids the High Elves well, as their agent capacity is quite high in terms of building tiers. And this is, as I was saying, a fairly long short victory condition. It does require a lot of work. It's not exactly the quickest to achieve because of the dragon ship requirements, which those can take quite some time. Now for your long victory condition, you require the short victory. You need to destroy the Awakened, the Pirates of Sartorsa, and the Blessed Dread, as well as the Dreadrock Privateers, which you already achieve on the short victory. I don't know why they put it like this. Restore all of the following 9 ancient elven colonies. That includes Arnheim, the Great Turtle Isle. As you can see, we're going really far away in terms of locations. A lot of them are in Lustria, but there's a couple of them, of course, very close to you. And includes the Fortress of Dawn. So yeah, and then you have to win the final battle. Now this is quite a very long campaign. It's not impossible that you might be very close to domination by the time that you finish it, and you may have the luck of the enemies being destroyed by someone else, but if you have to do it, then it can certainly take time. The reward is 20% campaign movement range, hero recruit rank plus 10, which is always useful, and dragon ship supply construction costs reduced. Now it's a nice reward, although it may be a bit too late to provide the needed benefit. Aislinn is tempered in storms and has the benefits of Acer domination. That's his unique mechanic, has access to the dragon ships, can establish colonies and gift conquered regions to other High Elves, and has access to the Acer domination advancements, so it's his unique mechanic. He can also issue provincial commandments without owning the full province, which comes in handy, and he has improved sea navigation. This means I cannot hover it, but it means that he has immunity to high seas, reef and storm attrition, as well as sea lanes that have no journey duration for all armies, no movement cost when traveling between sea and land, and has access to the mist landing stance, more on that later on. And also local recruitment duration -1 turn for Oceanids, Sea Elementals, and Merwin units. And if it is not clear, Aislinn is truly a master of the seas. His campaign is all about exploiting the vulnerabilities of your enemy's coastlines and strike fast and true and swiftly before they can become a threat. With its improved navigation, you'll feel completely at home at sea. And on land, you're also really good because climate is simply great. He suffers no penalties whatsoever, also due to how his faction kind of works, as we'll see later on. So he's perfect, a very good addition to High Elves. In terms of starting location, you start without any settlement, just your initial army and fleet and all the sea in front of you. Unlike other factions, you do not have immediate threats to speak of, just the decision of where to engage first. Typical expansion is, of course, just dominate these closest islands of the eastern colonies. Once you do it, you're pretty much set for whatever you prefer to do, since you will have unlocked one of the mechanics in the form of the specific unique sea lanes for your faction. One for Ulthuan, another one for Lustria, and another one for the Southlands. I'm illustrating those, the end of those here. Of course, since you are at sea, you can enjoy a great deal of encounters at sea and all the sea goodies that they provide. So it's quite a nice campaign in terms of variability as well, because you can just start a new one and go somewhere else. So yeah, I like that. I really like that. Diplomatically, you're part of the Order Tide, and because of the nature of your campaign, you'll be set against a variety of enemies, but you can count on having to at least deal with the pirate nations, be it the Vampire Coast, Lokir, anything that is in the sea, you'll have to deal with them, especially because of your own victory conditions. Typical allies will be anyone from the Order Tide, as I'm showcasing some units here, the Empire units, Bretonia, Dwarves, try to get some flyers from them, some artillery, that will be nice to have some good ally units in your armies. Now, there's several unique currencies that are tied to mechanics and plenty of mechanics to go through. So let's go one by one, shall we? It's difficult, but let's go. Let's try. Influence is gained mainly by winning battles. You can spend it on heroes and lords that will have better initial traits, or on the patrons of the realm mechanic, which is to increase your patronage on a province. So let me just showcase a little bit of the traits here. As you can see, if you spend 60, you actually get a better trait, a starting trait for your lord, which is always good. It usually typically dwells in terms of some specific buffs to units, so you should always consider that as well. As I've said, it's always used for the patrons of the realm mechanic to increase your patronage on a province. And in addition, you can also use the influence on the intrigue at the court to improve relations or decrease relations among any faction in the game, which is kind of an underlooked mechanic, if I might. It's actually quite good to steer the game as you wish. Speaking of the patrons of the realms, it's a mechanic shared with other High Elf factions, so you can assign a lord to become patron of a specific province of Ulthuan. All you need for that to happen is for the province capital to be owned by any High Elf faction. Assigning a lord grants specific buffs and increases the favor of the Phoenix King. This is just yet another small unique currency which mainly helps you to confederate other High Elf legendary lords later on. This is through the other part of this mechanic, which is the Court Unity. Court Unity provides you with a simple way of confederating other legendary lords. So just fulfill the conditions required and you'll be able to select that faction for confederation. Other minor factions are only able to be confederated normally via the diplomacy screen. Note that for Aislinn specifically, you will only gain access to the legendary lords, not ownership of the settlements, because Aislinn has that limited form of ownership. And of course, there's this trait of the foreign presence, so the more that the High Elves control, the better for your favor of the Phoenix King. Now let's talk about the types of settlements. You have mainly two types of settlements, the outposts and the elven colonies, which are your major settlements, let's say. Three, if you kind of count the dragon ships, they're all a bit intertwined in terms of the currencies that they generate and how you actually use them. So let me see if I can simplify it for you. It's kind of really difficult to go through, but let's go. So as you can see, this outpost is actually on another High Elf faction, the Order of Lore Masters. And you have a selection of buildings that you have here that will produce, you know, in mainly the Elven trade. It's one of your main currencies. Elven trade is in essence used to build buildings for technologies, and is then transformed into dragon ship supplies on the Elven colonies. Let me just show you here on the building browser. There's a specific set of buildings that actually provide you some dragon ship supplies per turn. So that's how you do it. You have the Elven trade, then you convert it to dragon ship supplies, because you need the dragon ship supplies to then build on your dragon ships. That's about it. So that's the intertwined situation that you need to remember. You need Elven trade to build on your outposts, and then convert that Elven trade to dragon ship supplies so that it can build on your dragon ship supplies, your dragon ships, which is the better one. Moving on to the Acer domination. There are basically two ideas here. The first one is that you're using the dedication currency gained via outposts, which is then spent on either the colony dedication, the outpost dedication, or dragon ship dedication. These provide numerous buffs and usually unlock some buildings, either on colonies, outposts, or dragon ships. Therefore, it is recommended that you spend some time thinking what you aim to build in your colonies. Maybe there's a unit that you wish to recruit. Make sure that you have the building available by the time that you actually need that unit, for instance. This is just so that you're able to dedicate that dedication to unlock those buildings as soon as possible. Of course, there are specific bonuses such as the casualty replenishment rate, which I went for here because I really like casualty replenishment rate, especially in the early game. It helps to keep momentum, so I went for it, but basically that's all up to you. Just ensure that you study those effects a little bit and make up your mind. The second part of all of this is that you have the current outposts that you have dedicated to each of the specific High Elf Legendary Lords. And that gives you specific bonuses when you choose the option to consult leaders. Now, each Lord will provide you with 4 possibilities. You have joint training exercises. It's a simple 3-turn buff for experience and recruit rank of specific units, useful when you're about to recruit a lot of those specific units. Then you have some equipment, some artifacts that you can gain for some gold, and then you have some specific bonuses for each Lord. It's themed, so replenishment bonuses from Alariel, for instance, where it will also provide you with Alariel's champions here, which gives Vanguard deployment to all armies, to all sisters of Avalon. So these unique buffs can truly change the battlefield. Just be mindful that you cannot consult leaders all the time. It has a little bit of cooldown, so be wary of how you select that. It's like fine if you have some possibilities that you still haven't gone for, and you just wait until you consult the leaders. Now, speaking of rights, it's a simple set. It's just possible buffs that you can acquire with a cooldown and by spending some gold. These range from having some immunity to attrition, to a more building focus with construction cost reductions and control, to specific bonuses to, like in this Invocation of Methlan, as well as a dilemma for a powerful item on the Invocation of Vol that you see on the right here, which also provides some buffs to sword masters, white lions. So it's just you to adjust accordingly to what your needs are. Just remember that you have the rights. Sometimes they are it's very easy to miss those out. One final mechanic that it's also missed is you're one of the few factions that you can build the Shrine of Cain. You unlock the Sword of Cain. This is done in a specific settlement named simply Shrine of Cain, and the item is really powerful for any lord carrying it. I like to recommend using a secondary lord so that you have another powerful lord. Now let's showcase a little bit of the sea navigation unique idea, with that immunity to high seas and reef and storm attrition, as well as the sea lanes having no journey duration and the no movement cost when traveling between sea and land. So this is perfect. As you can see, I was just moving through the land and back again as if I was going through a port, which is excellent and works really well with Aislinn. Speaking of province edicts, so you have the -3 control, but income from all buildings, so a more income related one. Then you have +3 control and -5 corruption, so a more controlling sort of edict. And then a growth +30 and reduced income from all buildings -10%. So in essence, you have to really choose wisely what your edict should be depending on your necessities. Be careful not to leave it on growth for too long and hindering your income, for example. And especially in the late game, it can be hard to go for it. In terms of stances, you have Lilith's Blessing, consumes 10 movement, grants bonuses for spellcasters and Winds of Magic reserves. Encamp, it consumes 50 movement, enables replenishment and immunity to most attrition. Ambush, it consumes 25 movement and creates the possibility, of course, of an ambush. And most importantly, it hides your army. This is something that is overlooked. Forced March, it gives 50% movement with some penalties, including not allowing you to attack. For sea stances, this is also relevant. You have that mist landing. First you have none, of course. Then you have the mist landing. This is like an underway stance. You teleport to another area, bypassing terrain. So you can go sea to land without penalties. And this means going through areas that are not coastal. You don't have a beach there to go through. So it's really important. Then you have the Dragon Ship expansion. It's basically your building stance. It provides recruitment options for armies within the circle of influence, and of course enables replenishment in foreign territory. And then you have the flank speed. It's similar to the forced march. It also denies you the ability to initiate a battle. So overall, you have some tactical options as the High Elves, although you lack a raiding stance, which would be nice. It's noteworthy that what I was saying is that it allows you, the misstanding allows you to bypass any terrain, while your normal movement allows you to only move sea to land via places you can actually land at, beaches, okay? So it basically treats all shores as if they had ports in it, okay? Now, speaking of buildings, there's a lot to go through, so let's go through the unique buildings in your initial province. You have the Rebuilt Citadel. It gives you Unbreakable during siege battles against Dark Elves to all armies. It also gives you the Elven Colony availability again, if you build an Elven Colony there, so you can continue with those. Then you have Lore Master's Watch. It unlocks the recruitment of Lore Master of Hoeth, and gives you some spell resistance for Spearman units, faction-wide, basically. And you also have Pilgrimage Grounds, which gives recruitment of Moon Dragons, recruit rank +1 for dragon units, and global recruitment reduction for Moon Dragons -1. As well as if you build this on a colony, it gives you some Elven trait, +30 per turn, which is quite nice. So overall, it's quite cool. If it was on a Sea Patrol outpost, it actually gives you an Elven colony availability, which is also nice. Speaking of military possibilities, mostly is done in your dragon ships, with colonies having only 3 possible buildings for recruitment. All of those buildings actually go either to tier 4 or 5, and you also have to unlock a few of them. So basically, that's how you can recruit units if you are on your settlements, but if you're near your dragon ships, then you have access to everything. The 5 buildings for maximum military possibilities, all of them also go over to tier 4 or 5. At tier 3, you already have some good options. So Lothern Sea Guard with shields, Sky Cutters, the Sylvan Guard. So that's basically a frontline unit, a missile unit, and some extra stuff that you can actually use, some flyers, so it's always nice to have those possibilities at tier 3. As for infrastructure, in outposts, you have the Sea Patrol outposts. They provide dedication, influence, control, corruption. Then you have outpost defenses, just a set of possible defensive buildings. And then you have Elven Trade, which, guess what, gives you Elven Trade per turn. In terms of your colonies, what you have is actually just a basic income building. It also provides some Elven trinkets, which is nice. Some income from trade tariffs and tradable resources at the cost of Elven trade per turn. Okay, so basically it just notice that you also unlock some technologies with these buildings, so be careful with that. Then you have an income at the cost of even more Elven trade per turn, but that's a lot of income, so you can just build a couple of those for those income necessities. Then you have, of course, the Noble Consulate, so for more influence and recruiting nobles. And you have the Maritime Trade Hall. This is, in essence, the one that will provide you with dragon ship supplies, okay? And some income at the cost of those that Elven trade. You have 2 buildings for the dragon ship supplies. The other one being the, let me hover it. So I'm actually just checking the differences there for the recruitment of mismatches and stuff. But you have the coastal shipyard, which also reduces the construction costs for all dragon ship buildings, which is nice. You know, having a couple of these should be good for your dragon ship supplies necessities there. In terms of your necessities of all these currencies, it's important that you kind of go for it in terms of stabilizing the growth of all those currencies. You should be fine and not too worried about maximizing the effects, okay? You just periodically check if you're losing any specific currency and respond to it accordingly. Research. It's great. It's divided into 3 main areas. The hosts. This is buffs to specific units across the unit roster, including some very powerful abilities for your units, such as, for instance, getting the missile block chance increased for Sword Masters of Hoeth, which is great, giving them some nice buffs. Then you have the realms. Mainly this focuses on your campaign, but also includes a few buffs for units. Those are locked behind specific buildings, for example. and also a lot of elven traits. So you got to be careful. It's going to take a while for you to go through all of this, especially in terms of the elven trait. So be careful what you choose and just make sure you make good choices. Then you have the Sea Patrol. This is exclusive for Aislinn, gives you great bonuses for your Sea Company units, Oceanids, Sea Elementals, Merwim units, as well as some specific bonuses related to your mechanics. Overall, you can do a lot by focusing just specific units from the start, granting them the bonuses from the specific technologies that then allows you to roll over your enemies quickly and decisively. Pay some attention to the tech tree in the early game just so that you can enhance its possibilities. Let's talk skills very briefly. So, as always, it's the blue line or campaign effects, red line or unit effects, yellow line or lord effects, and then the legendary or unique ones. So, the blue line, it has replenishment and it has upkeep reduction, which is some that I favor, but only in the final part of the line. Of course, should you choose to go, for instance, for lightning strike, it will be necessary to go this route. A few lords with upkeep reduction should be enough to grant you the possibility of supporting like an extra army in the mid to late game, so think if you're going for a long-term campaign or not before choosing this route. There's no point going into this route if you're going for a shorter campaign, you know. A red line is good. It does split units between their roles and between early and late game units. More on this later on. So therefore, you should choose wisely if you wish to have an army focusing on early game power, or if you're using skills aiming for a powerful elite army later on, like investing on single entities or elite infantry. Most lords now assist their army in one way or another, so in terms of specific skills. So keep an eye out for those specific skills from your lords that can allow you some different army compositions, such as this example here of the Spirit of the Sea God, to go into a little bit of those sea elementals, oceanids, etc., merwims, etc. Now, heroes are excellent, and allow me just a little bit of a very brief observation, because there's so much to go through skills, and I just want to give some pointers, okay? So, for instance, in terms of the noble, the handmaiden, they all have skills related to basically what they are. Handmaiden to ranged units, they buff them really well. Lore masters are great hybrids, and then those nobles, as I hovered to them previously here, they are great, decent melee fighters. Not great, decent melee fighters that you can send against other single entities or other characters. There are two heroes with the replenishment ability. Let me just check, where do I click for that? I know that there's an option here. Oh, it's that button. Okay. How do I reach it? There we go. So this one provides mobility, but this one does provide replenished troops. I don't have it here, but the Handmaiden also provides replenishment. So if you want to have quick replenishment, make sure that you have either one or the other. I'll make sure to have a video explaining everything about lords and skills in some other time. Now, here are the red line skills for the High Elves. As I said before, they are split among their role, like frontline and cavalry, as well as their tier, with elite units staying together. This means you should choose early on for any lord if you prefer to have a stack of basically lower tier units, but a bit more powerful, or if you wish to go for higher tier units, but a little bit more of an expensive stack. That's usually the idea behind the stacks of the High Elves, either focusing on the low tier units or the high tier units. Aislinn himself, he focuses on the sea theme, benefiting Ship's Company, Oceanids, Loven Sea God, Sea Elementals, and Merwin units. So therefore, some compositions with those should be more than useful for your army. Nothing wrong with upgrading your initial Ship Company to higher infantry units later on, of course, as your need for power increases. So these are just a couple of examples. I really like using the Oceanids, kind of like in between the infantry units, but you can use Sea Elementals as you obtain them. This is just a sort of tier 3 sort of army initially, and then a more higher tier army later on, but you can do quite well with just the first army for a very long time, even up to short victory, sometimes even long victory. Then of course we have some options for the princesses, archmages. I just want to make sure that you understand that, for instance, the princes, they have reduced upkeep, which is always nice, vigor loss reduction, and melee defense and physical resistance for infantry units. So just focus a little bit more. You can have some single entities there, but just focus a little bit more on their infantry force for the princes. As always with all these suggestions, the heroes are placeholders. I just recommend one caster and one melee or support, but you can choose as you wish. And the reason why I do this is to simplify things. There's so much in army composition building that I just wanted to have a very quick rule of thumb to assist you so that you can have some quick different armies and still don't worry too much on min-maxing. Okay, that's the sort of idea. For example, here with the princesses, it's just for the missile strength and the ambush success chance. So you can have some fast armies that can ambush some good monsters like the Moen that are actually fast. They don't seem like it, but they're actually fast. You also have, for instance, with the archmages, some different approaches. You can have a very mobile army, relying on the Archmage doing a lot of damage as well, but that you hit hard, you do a lot of damage, and suddenly the enemy retreats, so that's usually a very good addition. And then you have that ward save, so that helps a lot of these chariots, for instance, that can take some damage. With that ward save, they don't take so much, so that's why I recommend those. And then you have this choice with the Sea Helms. They can go either on one side, those 3 skills, the having vigor loss reduction, melee attack, weapon strength, more speed, so a little bit more of an aggressive side of things, so you can use armies that don't even have ranged units, or you can go on the other side, which is just ambush defense chance, a more melee defense, a more defensive sort of army. And for that, I really love that final choice that I've given you there with some Phoenix Guards, some Sisters, and some Oceanids. Now, Aislinn has quite a complex campaign. In terms of mechanics, he needs a bit of an understanding of all the necessary currencies, but once you realize how it all works, it actually becomes very simple to do. You'll soon be having just battle after battle, full of buffs to your troops that make them tremendously powerful. It's a great campaign to try out new army compositions and enjoy just fighting different enemies as you sail the seas in any desired direction, quickly just storming any unprepared foe. Your army typically will have a lot of buffs, like for instance with Sea Lord Aislinn having the Vanguard deployment, so you can generate a lot of different army compositions, much more than the recommendations that I've given you. The army still consists of great infantry, great missile infantry, just good cavalry and chariots, some great flyers, some great single entities, average artillery, although sky cutters kind of like become really powerful, so I don't really want to just state that they are average for that. Just bear in mind, I have to put some negatives there. And they do like a bit of early armor piercing. Now, replenishment is great for Aislinn, since you have tons of options to increase it, and the climate is perfect. You should have no problems compared to previous High Elf factions, which were fairly limited because of the terrain. So I guess it's time to clear the seas and the land of all enemies and liberate Ulthuan as Aislinn, the Sea Lord.